for some chill dead stream because I'm moving stuff on my desk. I'm basically half asleep here, so let's go. It would seem he's a gambling man. Anyone that hasn't seen 80 Days, it's a really good game. So check it out when you can. Normally I'd I kind of want to you know, let everyone kind of feel the majesty. Based on the Just gonna take the volume down. If something's horrendously wrong, feel free to let me know. If anyone falls in. Nope. There we go. Settings. There we go. Alright, London. Very bustling city noise for London. Monsieur Phileas Fogg returned home early from the Reform Club and in a newfangled steam carriage besides. They helped him down. And the iron-lunged, steam-driven horses clattered away. Passepartout? You know what? That's my name, so I'm just gonna go with Passepartout. Passepartout, said he. We are going around the world. Around the world? Question mark. Or I'm just gonna say very good. Very good. I murmured dutifully, not believing a word of it. We shall circumnavigate the globe within 80 days. He was quite calm as he proposed this wild scheme. We leave for Paris on the 8:25 in an hour. Oh. But of course, I answered, still extremely suspicious. He nodded. Good. Pack an altimeter and my evening jacket. There is not a moment to waste. You, Passepartout, now have funds. Your character is now dependable. Alright. So I'm dependable and I've got funds. So I'll assume that I need to pack. Oh, no. So, okay. There you go. Fuck is a wax cylinder? Well, I'm gonna take his stuff that he wants. Just a humorous tower, official and soldier types. Slender volume listing all shipping routes in Europe. You know what, I'm going to take playing cards. If there's anything that I've ever found useful. What do you fit? No. If there's anything that I've ever found useful and I've just happened to not have at one point or another, it's been playing cards. A completed Englishman's wardrobe should help us negotiate times of upper class journeys. Off we go. The guard's van has space for one suitcase, which will suffice. This promises to be a bearable route. Alright. Oh, jeez. Yeah, this is... this. The mechanical horses raced past Piccadilly Circus and Pall Mall faster than a team of thoroughbreds. Even so, the whistle of the 8:25 was blowing as we pulled up to the Charing Cross station. We have no tickets, so we race along. You know, we race along concourse. Throw ourselves aboard. As the second whistle shrieked its warning, we barely had time to take our seats before the guard rapped smartly on the compartment door. He held out a hand. Tickets, please. Alas, monsieur, we were in a great hurry, or I pretended to have lost them. No, alas, monsieur, we were in a great hurry. Go with the truth. Giving him a decision, we did not have time to buy tickets. You may purchase them from me, the guard was saying, though it is more expensive, I'm afraid. £85, please. I'm gonna argue with him. Monsieur Fogg interrupted. Passepartout will pay the sum at once. He put in coldly and remunerate this man for his patience. About 100. Gave the man 100 and added a word or two of advice about allowing a little leniency to gentlemen in their hours of need. The guard gave me our tickets and slid the compartment door shut behind him with a pneumatic hiss. Your funds have gone down by a fair amount. Ugh. One fine form must be alright. Converse. Service. Monsieur Fogg. Passepartout. Let's talk about the journey. I tell you, Monsieur, what is the purpose of our journey? I have made a hefty wager and I do not intend to lose. This journey will be most expensive. Indeed, but we can earn little from buying and selling our possessions as we travel. Alright, very good. I guess we'll see how that works out, considering I've got clothes and an altimeter. London's smog gave way to rolling hills and the pastures of the Kentish countryside, still untouched by the hand of technological advancement. Monsieur Fogg read his paper whilst I repacked our bags, or we passed the day. So, you know what, he read the paper, I'm sure. Only in haste and confusion. As afternoon turned inexorably to evening, I discovered that my master was one of those gentlemen who broke their silence rarely, if at all. A guard rapped on our door. A few miles before Dover. We are about to submerge. Submerge, okay. He warned, takes some people a bit funny, so watch out. What do you mean submerge? Well, I get... Yes. But it is safe, is it not? Or very good? Well, very good. As though submerging inside a 1,000-ton metal train was quite ordinary for me. If you feel claustrophobic, the guard replied, try running up and down the corridor. I always find the exercise helps. That he closed the door. Would Monsieur Fogg be claustrophobic? I doubted it. He appeared not to be constrained by mere matters of place and circumstance. Alarm sounded as the fins above the amphitrite's wheels extended to a hydraulic hiss. Night fell and we plunged past the end of the track into the freezing water of the English Channel. My relationship with Fogg has strengthened. Okay. The amphitrite ploughed through the water overnight and splashed up into wider gauge French tracks at Calais as dawn broke. Do you have a route in mind, Monsieur? As the water of the channel dried from the compartment windows, I am yet undecided, my master. The new canal has sped up the shipping route from Suez to Bombay, though perhaps we could take the Trans-Siberian Railway across Russia. Surely not Siberia, I exclaimed. It is so cold and grim, and I have a particular fear of bears. Then we would do well to buy furs, he replied, refraining from rolling his eyes. There are other alternatives. We may also travel overland and across the Black and Caspian Seas. But which is fastest? I believe, said he, that is what we shall put to the test. Parbleu, I scarcely knew what to think. We arrived at Paris Gare du Nord after just after 1 o'clock. Automaton porters lifted our luggage and then our persons onto the platform with long, delicately filigreed iron arms. Paris, city of my heart. I was home, but not to stay. Oh, geez, okay. Yes, I found out about the Suez Canal. Is now where I make a timely joke about getting stuck in it. Old school point and click. Yeah, no, it's yes, Neil. So it is a point and click. Very much take a choose your own adventure book and chuck it into a video game format. Some of our possessions would trade well here. Okay, let's go to the market here. Genuine travel set. Wait, how much money do I have? 3,000. You know what? Time is ticking. How about? What's the bank? Visit the bank. Have additional funds. Gentlemen, they was sending me credit if I replied here. Replied, you suppose I put my entire fortune into a carpet bag under your supervision? I did not answer. I regarded the bank as we entered. Palace of stone and shimmering mountain floors, beautiful windows, fountains of plants. No, that'll take too long. So we just, I guess we'll explore. Your out's discovered. Good. Okay. Didn't realise we'd have to explore. The city before we had to leave. Indeed. Should you land? Nodded, headed into town. The talk on the streets is of one thing only: an enormous, elegant oval stadium constructed upon the green fields of Champ de Mars and containing the technological marvels, art, amusement parks, and milling crowds of the World's Fair of 1872. But I was certain Monsieur Fogg did not intend for me to visit fairs. Brief cup of coffee, return to my master, arm with some options for the next leg of our journey. Yeah. Oh man. $55 to arrive Saturday. 170 arrives Friday. I think we might go to Vienna. Charge tomorrow. Alright, cool. Yep. Did anything happen then? No. No. Pass the night. Man, this is now me figuring out how this works. Travelling overnight will often be more efficient, so I swore the longest journeys available. Perhaps, he replied, the short answer indicating I think that one day journeys might be more flexible in their timing and could allow for more connections. Right. Still, the trains of the Hotel Ritz were mostly enjoyable. Depart. Yep, go. That's right. We got comfy options. Oh, boarding the Orange Express. Oh, this is the Orange Express. I'll take it. It was an altogether calmer affair than our race through London had been. Mechanical porters loaded us in through the windows, then snapped them shut with a delicate click. The train was very beautiful. It was extremely fast. Well, the train will be the first leg of a much longer journey. First leg of a much longer journey. So there was little use in growing too comfortable. Indeed, it could only take us as far as Vienna. The last long whistle blew and we began our journey east. Greetings. Can I help you at all, monsieur? I'm the guard on this train. What can you tell me of Vienna? The Austro-Hungarian Empire has been growing in strength. That sounds terrifying. I'm not actually okay with that. What about Vienna to Zurich? It is a fine train. What about to Budapest? Is there a route from Vienna to Budapest? I believe so. One can travel in a private car from Vienna to Budapest, but the journey is a tiring one. What about to Belgrade? Possible travel from Budapest to Belgrade. The fastest way to Belgrade from here is to go via Budapest. Playing cards. Sounds wonderful. more about Vienna, because why not? Vienna to Rome. Have you heard that you can pick up tartan blankets in Rome you can sell for a profit in Budapest? You know what? This is going to be an exercise in everyone learning just how much attention I miserably pay. Because I just want to see where we go. Just to be undisturbed. So as we left Paris, I left and went to explore the train. It was a delightful dining car and observation deck formed by the replacement of an entire compartment with an open glass cube. Okay. Well, I attended the dining car because I'm a fatty. And found a few groups of people talking quietly. I sat with a young composer, why not? Spoke of little bit melody, harmony, the progression of chords. I had an interest in music, but not an understanding. And so most of his words were lost to me. More interesting, however, were his remarks upon the political situation there. Okay. My uncle warned me not to play an instrument myself while within the city walls. It is apparently forbidden. Right. That seems an easy rule to follow. If perhaps I'm lost out my music, I suppose I'll have to simply whistle. He left a short while later, following a pair of chattering Parisian ladies to the observation deck to watch the stars come out. Lieutenant Monsieur Fogg, to my surprise, looked up from his paper at me. I'm going to say I told him the dining car. He looked smartly aside, clearly unimpressed. Relations with Fogg have deteriorated slightly. That is unfortunate. Artificing. Okay. Queried the official. Foreigners are forbidden from making automata within the borders of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, he repeated with a bored expression. A strange state of affairs, but I was hardly an artificer. So I made a little sunrise in the sky as we left the station, illuminating the wide, tree-lined avenues of Vienna in pale, welcoming light. See a single flesh and blood soldier in Vienna, the city of music. My dear friends, the rumors are quite real. The Austro-Hungarian Empire's might is built upon its armies of mechanical men. The magnificent sight of their pewter faces are homogeneously handsome, right? You know what? I'm just going to say they're magnificent. Ranged in gleaming rows along the wide Parisian-style boulevards, their enamel uniforms shine to a polish. As I watched, I was approached by a bookish fellow right in front of the impressive eagle-arched portcullis of the Zug House, the Imperial Armory. You think them fantastical? He demanded, a curious tone to his voice. I was going to say glorious. Beautifully crafted. They're more impressive than you can imagine. He stuck out his hand. Herr Danzer. Oh, apprentice engineer in the Imperial Kriegsorchester. That's... No, we went to a cafe to talk. Have you noticed none of the mechanical soldiers carry weapons? What did you make of that? I'm going to say they are strong, I suppose. What? Disliking turn of conversation. Inside each one is a Mozart Haydn device, perfectly tuned. Her hands right. The song the soldiers sing is one of devastation. A battalion in harmony can punch through a steel wall. Right, so these are like weird magic acoustic murder bots. He drew a gilded flute from his scabbard and laid it on the table, looking at it thoughtfully. That flute is how you control them. I hazarded. He nodded sadly. Yes, we, the Musiker Soldaten, control them with our instruments. I am the finest, flautist in the Vienna Kriegsorchester. He began, to my horror, to weep. Patted his hand. Gazed at me consoling. As a boy, I dreamed of joining the Artificers Guild. He confessed, voice harsh, but for some unborn in this country, it is impossible. The Kaiser and the Guild are sworn enemies. Oh. I pitied his circumstances. How his gifts twisted to a terrible purpose, not of his making. Alas, I could only commiserate. He took his flute up once more and sadly put it away, and I gently took my leave. I strolled back along the avenues, watching the city pass by with new eyes. Under its gilded and manicured beauty lurked something sharper and more bloodthirsty. Vienna was at once a city of music and the city of war. Okay. You know what? Let's start getting the engineer set sorted. Don't worry about the dusty road set. But I think I want to go to Budapest. Yafin Road looks like a bothersome. You know what? We're going to do that because I know that this game tends to get a little bit brutal later. I'm going to see if I can take us a little bit of a rougher ride now to get us a better ride later. I had an all-guzzling Bozek to take us along the open road from Vienna to Budapest. The road followed the rail tracks for much the way, but we saw no trains as we chopped along. Greetings, driver. Budapest. What do you know? Budapest to Belgrade. Alright, what about Budapest to Venice? Oh, goodbye. Fuck. Arrived in the evening without incident, eh? Right, so we can get down to Athens that way. Really is the only option we've got, isn't it? Oh, I guess we'll... Continue, no charge. Tomorrow, tickets required for the That's fine. Okay. Nope, nope. So we will pass the night. Dusty-jacketed Englishman at a hotel recommended a restaurant called Clement's to Monsieur Fogg. The Magyars make excellent broth, promised. Ominous words indeed. I've never been one for advice from dusty-jacketed fellows or broth. I'm going to say broth. In my humble opinion, merely an incomplete consomme. At best, an inferior bouillon. Monsieur Fogg was set on the matter, however. I concealed my trepidation. There we go. With professionalism. We settled dinner at Clemens, where our soup arrived in a gleaming silver tureen. The master, a man of impeccably high standards, even remarked upon the tureen's flawless polish. At which point it exploded. Sparing myself and Monsieur Fogg an extremely good waiter in admittedly delicious salmon broth. A fellow diner had been struck by the edge of the tureen lid and was bleeding from the temple. I attended my master, who was remarkably unperturbed by the entire affair. Perhaps in England, exploding entrees were commonplace. The head chef had by this time emerged from the kitchen. He pointed towards the wall and began a voluble rant, which needed little translation. The broth had splattered the ivory wall in the intricately curved shape of a lily, unmistakably the symbol of the Artificers Guild. I examined the ruined tureen. Right at the bottom was a tiny automaton, the size and shape of a scarab beetle. It was rather clogged with soup and a bit dented, but its metal legs were still clicking, clearly responsible for the symbolically exploding soup. I pocketed it. Although everyone's attention was otherwise occupied, it had the same lily etched into its hammered thin wings. I looked around at the chaos caused by the single bowl of exploding soup. What did you do to the guild? But the guild is a collection of repairmen and designers I've never seen. What did you do to the guild? Okay. Await a sign. They were banned by the Emperor so we could make our own Imperial automata outside of their control. The guild is growing more vocal in its objections. Personally, I thought that the Austro-Hungarian Emperor was a fool. The guild was growing heavy-handed. Such matters smacked of European profligacy. Well, I don't know what profligacy means, so I'm going to avoid that one. I'm going to say the Austro-Hungarian Emperor was a fool. The guild was more powerful than any empire and certainly more widespread. It was only a matter of time before the guild brought Austro-Hungary to the negotiating table, or else its knees. We stayed for the main course, but did not enjoy it. The incident rather shaken my confidence, and I could see that even my master was concerned. How many more exploding broths could our precarious journey survive? Funds have gone down a little, but relationships with Fog have improved. Well, that's the only way I've got to go. So let's just try and get to Athens. On the Orient Express again. So we kind of went Orient Express. Today we turn south. The Orient Express Company ran a spur line from Budapest that swept down the length of Europe to Athens. It originally stopped midway at Belgrade. But since that city's almost total destruction in the last confrontation between the Austro-Hungarians and the Ottomans, the train now went straight through. It was a wonder there were not more bombs placed aboard continental trains such as these. That is ominous. Alright, cool. I got to combed his hair. He's a bit happier. Despite knowing to expect it, could not help but gasp as we stepped through the empty husk of Belgrade. It seemed home only to ghosts. Trees and bushes grew from tall buildings, like a perfectly preserved museum exhibit. Perfectly preserved. To all appearances, one might believe there had never been people here at all. Quite what had happened, no one truly knew. The roads, houses, viaducts were still standing, the gas lamps still burned, but not a single voice cried out, and not a door or shutter moved. I asked Monsieur Fogg his thoughts, and he sighed. I fear that our age is seeing a great experimentation in warfare, much as in every other walk of life. I fear so. Indeed, he replied, but at least the trains move faster. His answer seemed to me as bleak as Belgrade himself, but as the Orient Express left it behind, it carried us towards a long evening of gentle wines and candlelight, which went some way towards lightening the soul, or which I could barely stomach. Because war sucks. Let's be real. Alright, he's back to 100% health. Arrived at Thessaloniki station. All the Greek passengers disembarked, but we stayed put, intending to reach Athens, then take one of the many sea routes into Turkey or Egypt. The journey to Athens took the rest of the day. I think the gauge of the rails grew narrower as it negotiated the winding cliffsides of Greece. This country appears to be entirely made of coastline. It is a wonder there are any buildings here at all. Still, we were well catered for, of course, and arrived feeling most refreshed. Scarab can be sold handsomely here. Oh, yep. Ah! Back to market. Go back to the market. Scarab. Explored. An unstealable wallet. Wait a minute. Where's the other bit of my Englishman's thing? That's probably been gone a while, and I'm probably just a dumbass for not noticing it. So I'm going to try and avoid Russia now. I've gone all the way downwards. So part of the urban traffic. You know what? Unstealable wallet. We'll go with that. And then we will hotel for a day. My master was not, as a rule, particularly interested in the fabulous locales and exotic cities we journeyed through. Athens was the exception. Proved the rule. His sudden interest was not limited to the city. He fixed me with a look. Do you speak Greek? I had spent a glorious summer with a Greek contortionist. That sounds like a really good summer. You could do the most elegant arabesque penché. Maisu Mons Monsieur. After repeating a few of the phrases, talking by my paramour, Monsieur Fogg blushed vermilion. That passaporto, he cleared his throat, is a very specialised vocabulary. Despite my master's grasp of ancient Greek, the demotic variant more commonly spoken on the streets eluded him. We were reduced to asking for directions through a combination of mime, opposite quotations from Homer, my master, a half-remembered flattery, moi encore. Moi? Oh. We picked our way through the labyrinthine streets of the Plaka and up to the Acropolis. I watched Monsieur Fogg. He looked upon the Parthenon's magnificent columns, though his lips did not so much as twitch. He looked for a brief moment. Joyous. I knew it. I knew that under the icy exterior of the Englishman's reserve lurked a soul. It was impossible to feign such joy. As we stood admiring the architecture, I was rudely knocked into by a small man with thick glasses. I caught his arm in case he should fall, and he smiled. Thank me quickly. My apologies, my apologies. Occupied by the side of, so I suggested cheerfully in the man's mind. I've seen it many times before, though yes, it is most impressive. He put out his hand to shake. Dimitri Sophos, I'm the owner of a modest shipping freight company based here. Yes! Talking to lads, getting routes. Okay. And then perhaps you can help us, you can get around the world. And where do you sail? I inquired. So I smiled and pulled the pamphlet jacket that detailed the routes and timings. One of the most interesting was a boat sailing to Cairo, which was leaving the next day. Thanked him and promised to see him in the morning. He beamed and wobbled away. A man with sea legs, I observed. Monsieur Fogg still gazing longingly at the Parthenon. Did not reply. I doubt he noted a word of the entire exchange. Alright. Quite the flamboyant type, eh? Yeah, so we want to go to Cairo. Let's go. Sweltering heat in the wild seas, this seems a wearisome experience. You know what, that's fine. He can be as wearisome as he wants, I'll just comb his hair a few times. That's life. Found our way to Sophos ferry terminal in good time, waved to greet the owner, who was speeding his fleet. Passaporto, he cried cheerfully, you will join with me and drink some Retsina. I would, I replied, but I cannot. You must continue our journey, so of course I'm not late. We clambered aboard Sophos ferry, finding some space between barrels of olive and large packing crates that smelled of fish. Soon the rope slipped from its ring and we were away. Relations with Fogg have strengthened slightly. Alright. Who's that? Madame Nikolai. Passepartout, welcome aboard. Alright. Did you realise that one can drive by private car from Cairo to Suez, but the journey is a tiring one? What about somewhere I've never heard of? That seems quite impossible. What about Luxor? One can travel aboard the Nile Express from Cairo to Luxor. Okay. Oh no, I want to go from Cairo to Suez. Sure. We're away next up Cairo on the coast of Africa. The journey was mercifully brief, perhaps because the crew was so feckless. Only at last moment did they start to move, swarming the rigging and mast, bringing us slowly into the bustling port of Alexandria. As we came ashore, I gasped at the sight of the towering lighthouse that blazed a beacon of incredible golden light across the water. I had understood the lighthouse to be long since destroyed. But I shrugged. No doubt I misunderstood. The sailors gestured for us to follow, and the port was a short carriage ride to Cairo. And we arrived in good time. Alright, so plan will be that. But we will hotel for the night. Cars continue to modernise, following the Parisian model. The result is a mishmash of tree-lined streets and maze-like souks. Of course, the people do not care. They most certainly do not dress like Parisians. I was browsing the souk, and dipping into my pocket, I trusted to my elastic wallet. Then came to see a small girl was attempting to run away with my money. Stealing is poor occupation, I remarked with a charming smile. Her bravery was doing battle with a curiosity, but a curiosity one. Where are you from? I'm from France, I replied patriotically. You look English, she replied. I'm dressed as an English valet. The girl looked, I am an English valet. Now, oh jeez. My Englishman has come to eat. There we go. Father says the English are coming to get us. He says they want to rule us like the Ottomans. Oh. The English are nothing to be afraid of. I replied that I could not help but grimace at the thought of this place overrun with British colonial troops. Mama said the English are in for a surprise if they try to invade us. Phil then tossed her head and asked, are you going to see the pyramids? We're travelling around the world. My mama works on Hey! Your mother works on airships. She says the airships from Luxor are better than the airships in Cairo. With that, she slipped between my legs, disappeared into the souk. Okay. Oh, that is an airship. Yep. So here I was thinking, like, hey, I'll go and like run down the Suez Canal because that's good for boaty boats. Okay. Train from Cairo to Luxor was well appointed, comfortable, and packed with holidaymakers and tourists. All headed to see the tombs and take slow cruises up the Nile. I asked one why they did not take the boat down. Yeah. But the answer was the Nile's strong current, which obeyed north would travel far easier and enjoyable than the difficult journey south. Alright, sure. Who am I talking to? What's your passaporto? I hope you have your tickets. Luxor. Anyway, Luxor. I could tell you about a time. I don't know, but at least I hear the Al Rashids plot to capture the Jeddah from the Ottomans. Okay. You'd have to ask my secretary if you can exchange jars of turmeric in Bombay that will sell for a fortune in Singapore. Ooh. Okay. Alright, well that's it. We're good. We're good. Thanks, bud. Let's continue on. So it's day 8. Got a lot more time. It was fast and efficient before sundown. We had hired a Kalish to carry us through the dusty, busy streets of Luxor, a place of temples, thick scents, and ancient artifacts. Okay, plan. Yes. Here we cannot go this way today. Tomorrow at 3, hey? Alright. We'll stay there for the night. Stay the night in the hotel. It was carefully watched by the military. Some tourists were tolerated, but there were rumours that people like harboured Sudanese separatists on the run from Ottoman authorities. And then already it was time to move on. Pleaded with him to take that. No, there was no slack. The tombs are. Yeah, there was no slack now. Scheduled to visit the tombs or even the magnificent temple whose pillars we could see in the distance above the walls of town. The fastest way was by airship to Manama, and Monsieur Fogg was most insistent that we take our places aboard. Good. Let's go. Embark. Aboard the Osiris line for Manama was a comfortable enough rig, though not opulent. I would say it was a liner counterfeiting the appearance of quality, but not truly bred into it. We took seats towards the fore, where we could watch the full drama of deserts unfolding below us. Thick mint tea was served, the ropes were loosed as we drifted up into the skies and felt once more the thrill of adventure. First day enjoying the hospitality of the airline and gazing down at the Suez Canal that passed beneath us. There's his hurties, but I'm going to keep fixing him because I want him to be fine. The second day of the airship was uneventful. The craft moved with almost impossible slowness, leaving passages with a deep ease as though the slightest movement might cause the ship to fall from the sky. I stared out the window at the long desert below, or I attended to Monsieur Fogg. I would assume attending to him would be better. Find me his cushions, bring him tea, and allowing him to rest. If we were to travel slowly, most would reap some benefit. I got to talking to my neighbour, a large lady dressed in reams and reams of pearls and jewels, who called herself Shia Sufi. Told me in hushed tones that she was a major trader in Dubai pearls. Is Dubai worth visiting? She joked. I make good money there, but for a traveller, here's a good spot to cross the Persian Gulf to Bandar Abbas. Ship drifted on slower than some of the clouds. Okay. No, not really feeling a need to go over there to go up. Oh, I probably do need to go up. Ship cruised over the desert and the sea became visible as a thin golden ribbon of reflected sunshine. Fogg gazed down at the boats in the harbour and murmured a single word. 11. I understood this meaning immediately. It was day 11. Day 11 of the Poopy Spooks. Complete a city dweller. Do we even have a city dweller set? I don't think we do. Is part of the... Yep. Bam. Put a cloak there, so we now have the urban traveller set sword. Go from there. So we'll explore. We need to figure out where we can go from here. British influence over Bahrain had been cemented with the signing of the perpetual truce of peace and friendship some 20-odd years ago, which made Manama a town most congenial to Monsieur Fogg's particular tastes. Brought some Darjeeling tea. Miranda, who supplied British residents in Bushi, and Monsieur Fogg showed me the appreciation, which is to say he gave me the slightest of nods. He's not a demonstrative man, but I dare say I'm growing used to it. Funds have gone down as such relationships with Fogg have strengthened slightly. Let's plan something. So let's just see. God, there's a lot to cover still. So I think oh, no. So let's head to Dubai first. Hotel for the day. What remained of the day? I went to stretch my legs. I have someone dip their hand in my pocket. I do not see the culprit, but my elastic wallet saved the day. Nice. Pretty glad that I've got the elastic wallet. Alright, so let's go to Dubai first. Go. Behind the services of a local fisherman takes down the coast using rudimentary sign language to explain our purpose. The arrangement was made in the early evening and he seemed most surprised when I returned a short while later with Monsieur Fogg. So, he had expected the arrangement to be with me alone. Entirely unexpected, seeing as how our course would take us close to Muscat, and while a den of iniquity, sin, and otherwise thoroughly criminal behaviour. Still, we did not give him the opportunity to complain. Lord watched the lovely sail, swung out his boom, and turned the spring of the outboard paddle. I made slow progress down the narrow Persian Gulf. We stayed out in the open with a blaze of sunshine, roasted us like so. Fishermen put us into Port of Dubai a few hours later, and we disembarked there straight to a cafe. Well, you know, you're going to go somewhere. Tiring than he expected. Explore first. Exploring, letting ways in which we might try onwards. Can we depart right now? Jeez, maybe I am heading up there. Yeah, well, I'm gonna head up there. Go. Ferry boats sailed by breeze of coffee-coloured youths across the Persian Gulf several times a day. They race, threaten to ram one another, skating their front last minute, and generally had much more fun than their beleaguered passengers, who could not be certain they would survive the crossing. I would not help but notice, for instance, that none of the youths were older than 11, with this then the extent of their life expectancy. But whether the performance of our gondoliers was usual grace, I think he found the unfettered sunshine somewhat oppressive. The open water was a long cry from the dusty corners of the Reform Club. Yeah, he made it. Dumb decision. Wooded cloak behind this program. Well, we're going to have to pass that. Moon man up was upbeat, I found, since being reclaimed into Persia after years of control by the pirates of Muscat. People believed they had escaped a great tyranny. I found my way into one of the many new coffee shops, where a group of intellectuals were teaching themselves the game of dominoes for instructions on the back page of an old newspaper. I am abysmal at this game, but these men and women appeared to be novices. So I settled in to charge them, and indeed walked away from the table a little richer with a new set of dominoes in my possession. It seems they disliked the game enough to give up on it entirely. Okay. This one's got possibilities for might make progress. Well, let's go. No, why? No, where's there? I want to go up. That's backwards as shit. Nope. Well, I guess we're gonna hotel for the day. I attended to Monsieur Fogg, ensuring he was comfortable. Relations with him strengthened slightly good. Can we depart? Yes. Embark. One suit. Oh, jeez. I don't really want to get rid of anything. Except I'll get rid of. Do that. There's only room for one. Yeah. Linen trousers from our war climate gear section. See, it's okay. Ooh. The Better Brothers was a scheduled departure out of Bandai. I was busy for it, but even as we walked off the gangplank, I had the uneasy sense there was something a little amiss, hey? I was put doubly on my guard the moment we met the captain, a most unsavory character, given to giggling in the middle of his sentences and rubbing his hands together as though endlessly cleaning off blood. We did our best to ignore him and set ourselves into our cabin. Who I converse with here? Safe. Karachi. I had a wonderful time with the bomb mail. Karachi. Bark. Okay. Scat. Oh, Muscat's back there. No, first day, innocently enough, the crew, when we saw them, were cordial. I sensed some secret behind their smiles. Once you were fogged a little more on edges than usual, but it was probably due to lack of decent down feathers. Maybe. Like he's a whinger, but he's not that bad. Let's just fix him. The day in our cabin, I think, with the door bolted, taking no risk of meeting no one. While the coast of India moved into agonising slowness, I only hoped we would reach it. Still went off. No accident had befallen us. I breathed a deep sigh of relief, but we were not ashore yet. We arrived in Karachi in the early morning. The captain saw us to the gangplank with a beaming smile. Well then, he declared, did you enjoy sailing with my little family? It's been a pleasure. And all the brothers have enjoyed your company, gentlemen. Farewell. With that, he waved us off the shoulder back and remarked, once your fog. Thought them brigands, but they were most decent. Must run to the family. Fog replied, tapping his nose. Did you see their noses? I watched the cat move his nose as he lay back amongst the other sailors and gasped. My eyes was quite right. They did all share the same nose. They were quite literally his little family. With that, we left the strange coming into the magnificent city of Karachi. Alright, plan. No. I want us to figure out a better way. Sweet. Negotiate. The undisputed sovereign of Asia travelling Karachi was a brightly dressed lady of middle years by the name of Yamuna Isra. Yamuna Ijani, who being proper, she corrected. Isra is my middle name. Found her to be an excellent businesswoman. We began our conversation discussing all various routes available to quickly turn to our own transports. I can help you, she assured me. But where is it that you want to go, Delhi or Bombay? Where should we go? I asked rather when she laughed shortly. That depends on where you want to end up. Across Asia and America, and then back to London. And laughed softly at first and uproariously. A few of the men and women waiting in her out office poked their heads in curiosity. London, she asked out across Asia. You do know you're going the wrong way around. It's for a wager. You're too precious, my husband's going to love the story. Dismissed with a wave and I admit, I left out a detail too about the good lady when I relayed my encounter to Monsieur Fogg. Again. What's around 10 the most report? Yeah, I 10 the most report. Now we get to the part. Yeah, bolts from that. That looks like a bullet. I would take that. I would take the bullet. We boarded a metal-clad Savaka at Motic, headed for Bombay. It was a sleek little convenience, no doubt one of the prides of Madame Ezra's vast passenger fleet. There was a sizable observation deck. The other passengers clung to the brass railings, appeared through the polished glass windows, and we sailed into the air. Greetings, Mademoiselle Batakaria. The concierge will show you. Okay, Bombay. There's a large arm. Okay. Right, so I'm okay, I got one round out of that. That continues on that way. The Indian coast is fantastic. Squeezed in besides a gaily dressing the woman at the window. There we go, yeah. It was dabbing nervously at her throat with a lacework if she cut her eyes towards me. Yeah, of course. And then favoured me with a smile. I smiled back. She turned to look at the rapidly receding ground, allowing me to see the wonder spreading through her face. The airship bucked in a straight air current and threw the women into my arms. Tight line brakes. Instinctively, she twisted out her grasp, was about to give her a chance. So I saw her expression was full of fear. She gasped and bolted from the observation deck without a backward look. Strange. Yeah, it's fine. Fog. Really are a Nancy, aren't you, Fog? Saw the Indian woman from the previous day inside a tightly corseted English membership. Glanced in direction, she blanched. She made her excuses to the mistress and left the observation deck again. Did not fathom it. Too much so. Do you know why she mentioned? She fell yesterday, truthfully. I called her. I meant no harm, but she seemed frightened. Do know her. What have you done? Oh. I merely called her when she fell yesterday. She was taking off. Seems satisfied with the answer. She's had a difficult life here. That is very admirable. One would imagine it is mere decency, but we live in fallen times. Sorry, I owe the membership only once more, as we disagree. She did nod, but she returned her red, distant courtesy. Turned to look at the city up on the coastline. I watched them as they headed away. Hard expression softening as she guided her companion's steps with gentle care. Yeah, there you go. So we can blend out air gear set for protection against strong winds. Yeah. I think I want some dominoes back. Close the luggage. Oh, that's a good shot to Singapore. Oh, Singapore and Manila. And there is a lot of really long travels there. Okay, so I have a plan. No, so the only one we've got is Navagoa. So I'm gonna explore. Bangalore and Madras. Ooh, actually. British airships dominated the skyline, tethered loosely to the gunboats that patrolled the docks. Brightly painted merchant ships darted into the harbour, eager to unload their cargo before the light faded. Catching my breath, I found my steps irresistibly drawn towards, I think, the Hanging Gardens, which shielded the Parsi Tower of Silence from the bay. The Hanging Gardens were magnificent. Little steam-powered Hercules horse-drawn carriages vied for space underneath the shady trees. British officers escorted their stiff-bodiced wives or made eyes at brightly dressed Indian girls. And in the shadow of the gardens I saw the symbol of the copper lily on the door of a converted mansion. I approached and knocked on the door. Given a cup of tea and a cushioned wicker chair almost as soon as I crossed the threshold of this outpost, the Artificers Guild. They were a varied group. Most were British or Indian, but I spotted a few Turks and Chinese. More than half were women, and all sat sipping tea together as equals and poring over periodicals. Middle-aged Sikh in a bright blue turban and admirably dressed trousers approached me. What is it you require, traveller? I say my master and I are going around the world. The man nodded. I see. Well then, welcome to Bombay. I'm interested in transportation. What inventions have you made? The artificers bickered amongst each other in at least 6 different languages before Dharampal, the Sikh, smiled. Dharampal? Dharampal, yeah. We have invented many small things that are useful but not important, like caps to prevent water from falling from bottles when tipped suddenly upside down, but in transportation we have done nothing. So the fastest route from here is the train. Perhaps, though myself I would head south to Colombo with our airships. Thanked them profusely before taking my leave, though alas I was so distracted by my musings that I failed to notice 2 thuggish fellows, ill-intent, who cornered me on the side street and demanded my shoes. A man's shoes are his castle, I contended, which had the laudable effect of causing furious, while I attempted a discreet but ultimately fruitless escape. I returned to my master barefoot and rather shamefaced. I hope that this will not happen again, said my master coldly. That was to be the last word on Bombay, gateway to the jewel in the crown of the British Empire, except for what pray has happened to your shoes. Okay, so we're going to plan this. I wanted us to get to Colombo. We're gonna get to Navagoa, I think. Try to head down. I keep going to that whenever I look at it. Hotel for a day. Room 17, and I forwarded my master Rizal's. Relations with Fogg have strengthened slightly. Okay. Oh no, that one. Yeah, let's go. Ugh. Really? Get rid of them. You know what? Just go away. Just go away. Go. Just go. I hate you. Bombay Express was a fine train, rivaling the Orient Express itself for comfort and luxury. Inside each softly lit compartment, Persian rugs and Venetian lamps threw colour over fittings of teakwood and burnished brass. I only hoped it would run on time. Soft furnishings do not, as my master would say, power an engine. My character is now zestful. Everyone loves a good zestful character. Paris World Fair, a roaring success. Okay, that was in the news. Sweet. I went to explore the restaurant car. Where are we? Restaurant car, I came off the menu of succulent cuts of rich soups, each with a complimentary wine, and that was where I met Anne-Marie Spencer, a girl of maybe 10 years, sketching one of the waiters in his red uniform and bellboy hat. I greeted her politely. I took the spot beside her. She smiled and with deft movements adjusted the position of her wheeled chair to give me more room, dropping one of her pencils as she moved. I returned it with a bow. You must be French, she declared. You are gallant indeed. I smiled politely and looked aside. I knew what she said. I have a good eye. I see things as they are. That is why I draw. There were pictures. To be confronted by this strangers, I could not recognize anything of the waiter. She was so closely watching the lines and shapes that filled their page. You have a most unusual style. Oh, monsieur, I have a good eye, and I can see you are lying. I shrugged and did not attempt it. Yeah. Your pictures are terrible, mademoiselle. I told her they offend the eye. My sense of proportion and space, they are unspeakable. She nodded. Most honourable, she said. She replied, I knew it. Just then my attention was distracted as my master beckoned me over to pour his wine. I bid her farewell, and she nodded to me. I'll see you again, Monsieur Passepartout. She told me as I left. I did not stop to wonder that day how well she knew my name. I am wondering now. Next morning I discovered I had lost my passport. I told him straight away, risking his displeasure at the possibility of delay, but in truth I think he was amused. Should I lose my passport, he replied, I would be most vexed. I decided to enlist the help of Anne-Marie. Her excellent eyes, so I tracked her down the observation deck and explained the situation. She looked most concerned. What might happen to you without documents? My master is well respected, so I doubt I will be imprisoned. By golly, she nodded. Well then, we shall appoint me. I think you should search the new cabins, the crew cabins, which my chair cannot access, and I will look about here. It seemed a good plan. I was heading from the car, I felt certain the girl would locate my papers, with her sharp eye and inquisitive mind. Let's take a look at those with sharp eyes. Indeed, I was so certain I went to search the cabins. That's, yeah. My breaking into was rumbled in moments, of course, by a cabin boy of only 7 or 8 years. I tried to explain, but his English and my Punjabi rather missed each other. I quickly called for the guard. The guard, a surly fellow with a serious moustache, he was in the habit of wavering around, sat me down and demanded the facts which I had provided. I had it yesterday. Naturally, aboard the train. Search my compartment. You would not be wasting my time if you had not. Indeed, he chewed his moustache and thought, I'm not in the habit of losing things. A responsible guy is. He shook his head. I regret. I have only one theory. A young lady called Anne-Marie Spencer. I followed him. Together we marched for the observation deck. There we found the young mademoiselle idling away at her sketching. Young lady. Guard demands now, sir. Tessa cannot see this poor girl. My words trailed off as the young crippled Anne-Marie got up from her wheelchair and then curtsied in front of me. I'm afraid I'm a dreadful kleptomaniac, she apologised with deep insincerity and an unparalleled lie to boot. And the chair, young Miss Finch and I arranged with the guard said she promised to stay in the chair and out of mischief, and I agreed not to lock her in a compartment for the... Okay, passport, please. I demanded with no small irritation. She dropped it. I dropped it. Yeah, lock her away. He nodded. I think I did. The girl's face curled up like lit paper. She began to weep piteously. The guards stiffened. Other passengers turned their head. I was quite impassive. I had no sympathy for that. And none of that, miss, the guard declared more awkwardly. Please, miss, none of that now. She sat down again, something like stopped being charming. She said, here's your passport. Oh, man. Yeah, we ordered his way as I wiped my brow with relief. It was like, most difficult to label. Alright, sure. Who can I converse with here? Yeah, Madras. You know what? I'm just gonna take as many of these as I can. Alright. I did not see the girl all day. I think she's been kept in the quarters under some kind of observation. Suitable to her flagrant criminality, no doubt medical in nature. I mean, medical in nature, maybe. I occupied my time playing Find the Lady, attending my estate, eavesdropping. Trying to gather information for our next year, I picked up some from a charming Javanese girl that traders ran inexpensive airships all the way from Manila to Acapulco. Wow. Yeah, okay. Man, if I can get on that. Alright, so I want to get to Rangoon. I just say, push the young girl from the train down around, but she waved at me before turning to face her head away back my friend, and she was gone. I was like, oh, I suppose. An unfortunate, I answered. He's not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in ourselves, she replied, quoting Shakespeare. I think she'll make her own destiny. Once we disembarked into Madras Station. The stars, you should watch out. Relations with fog of strength. Alright. Okay, so looks for. Was a city within a city. Inside the walls and fortifications of Fort St. George's White Town, where British sahibs and factors traded and went to church and travelled from place to place in mechanical palanquins. I found the colonial officers to be particularly dim. Okay. Sure. And hard-headed. Would have blamed on the humidity, but the locals seemed to manage their wits without any trouble. Ventured into Blacktown, where I attracted a few glances with no real attention. There were many reasons for a lone foreigner to wander the cramped streets and back alleys, but after a few minutes I realised I was being stalked. I turned to face my shadow. I found myself face to face with a nun. What do you like? A blessing, good sir. An ornate gold cross hung heavily from her neck. Sure. Her smile sprouted razors. No further warning, she put a heavy gold cross down on my head with a crack. Oh, she knocked my ass out. It's in a nunnery. Offered you a cool cloth. I'm Sister Panimala, and this is the comment of the Sisters of Didicus. What's a Didicus? Spanish saint who died in 1463. King Philip II commissioned a clockwork automaton of Didicus. Didicus? Which could pray. The first automaton man of God, but not the last. She took breath. My order does not believe, as the Pope does, that automatons are abominations. We believe that machines, too, are capable of grace. You believe automatons have souls, don't you? She twinkled the most un-nun-like expression. Building an automaton is like raising a child. They shape their image as we are in gods. Those blasphemers of the Artificers Guild know nothing of God, and so their creations are godless. Pick your enemies well. What? Could have asked. If you find an automaton whose shard is engraved with a soul on your travels, send a telegram to us. We have our own receiving station here. We will reward you materially if that is your wish, but we must have... You know what? Sure. Sure. Yes, faith. And then she let me go. I did not know what to make of Sister Panamala. Order of Artifice and Nuns then, I do not know now. I admit I was glad to know we would be leaving Madras and its walls and fortifications and secrets. Okay. If I depart... Yep. Go. To the western flower left the shore of India that I truly relaxed and was convinced the sisters of Didicus were not going to bang me over there once again. Here on the open water I began to consider this strange mission on my part in it. Cash was absolutely running low. I know. Ships navigator, Calcutta, position takes me elsewhere. Jeez, okay. The water was calm and crystal clear beneath our prow. I took a turn about the ship to familiarise myself with her and the other passengers. The Flower was a passenger liner, but one used by the middle classes and business people, travelling the coast and making trades between south and north. And such was Madame Sumathi, where I fell into conversation with the ship's navigator. Let's see who Madame Sumathi is. A hard-nosed lady who proclaimed her profession to be weaver, but by the sound of it managed a warehouse floor in which several hundred workers did her weaving for her. You're a good employer, I'm certain. Employ no one, we are a cooperative. I'm merely the most experienced in our collective. She smiled a crocodile smile, which left me in no doubt as to her position. Okay. Hello, kitty. Apparently getting foot booped by a cat. Reached the port of Voltaire. She disembarked. Catching my arm, she stepped from the boat. If you're going all the way to Calcutta, you're not just. If so, look up my husband there. Tell him he may return any time he chooses. With that, she stepped from the ship. It seems you make friends wherever you go, Monsieur Fogg remarked to me wryly later that day. Oh, you kind of busted, man. You need to stop being such a bitch. Good time up the coast of India. The rolling of the waves and glorious thick scents from the kitchens, it seemed it was traditional on board to hold a banquet for lunch on the final day. We enjoyed ourselves thoroughly, and all but rolled down the gangplank into Calcutta. Because we need money. Oh, hello, Skittles. You are a cat. Yes, you are a cat who is now in my face, between me and the microphone, and very possibly about to sit on my keyboard. Thank you so much, Kitty. Thank you so much, Kitty, for giving me loves. Alright, so I'm going to buy anything. I think I will. Get out of the market. Cat! Sit. Sorry. Oh, jeez. Right, negotiate. Ah! Skittles! Skittles! Putting your ass in my face a lot, it's very annoying. No, you know what? That's 13 pounds. So, bugger it. We're gonna have a rest. We will pass the night here. Calcutta was an industrial city which had built its wealth on opium, textiles, and indigo, but that was not to say it was uncultured. Oh, the chai shops which I passed by were all thronged with affluent barbers. Get off the keyboard, cat! Off you go. Bye-bye, kitty. And the Hengies discussing poetry and literature and the sticky subject of Indian independence. Okay. It seemed there was discontent brewing in several places. I wondered if we would be able to avoid all consequences of it. Where is the most dangerous right now? I asked, and the woman nodded. The mountains to the east are teeming with separatists, she declared. They mean to attack Chittagong. I returned quickly to Monsieur Fogg. Okay. The SS Thunder. Yeah, no. Let's give it an explore. I'm assuming. Yeah, it's really our only option is to go to Chittagong. I helped the kitchen staff to clean. Only 59 pounds, as well as discovering from her that no markets exist in Yabanadon. Yadanabon. Yadanabon? Yadanabon. Okay, depart. Chittagong, embark. Go, this is gonna suck. All the SS Thunder of the Apcar shipping line on its way to Hong Kong by Singapore, but the smokestacks barely had time to steam off their morning dew before we were approaching Chittagong to pick up more labourers. We made a full stop. We hid. But soon found out there was little order aboard ship, and when the boat left once more, we had room and board, and all for no cost. Monsieur Fogg, I think, knew our status as stowaways, but chose to neglect the fact of the interest of sport. The captain, with whom we quickly made friends, promised us a journey of 10 days rather than the usual figure of 12. Alright. Nice. That actually worked well. That was a little bit of a light sheet steel scenario. We dined at the captain's table. We made his toast, then asked Monsieur Fogg whether he was an opium trader, and I his fact. I looked at my master, who merely said he was not. Captain guffawed and commanded our glasses for once more. It is a profitable business, he advised. A man can make his fortune in opium if, and he addressed last my master, he is not squeamish. My master is hardly squeamish, I interjected. He's a gentleman, there's no need of putting his hand to trade. Did the captain be offended, but instead he merely shrugged. Your master... If your master has ever known need, then his honour is untested. Monsieur Fogg gave me a quilling before turning the captain. Your business is your own, Captain, as long as you conduct me to Hong Kong in 10 days as agreed. Captain raised a glass. Fear not, Mr. Fogg, I have anxious customers awaiting my cargo after. Wait. I awoke thinking of croissants. Not just any, but the croissants made on the corner of the street where I grew up, delicately crisp on the outside, yielding within. I could smell them, almost feel the texture of the pastry on my tongue. I was so lost in contemplation that I was very nearly late to attend my master's shave. Zut alors. The last guys about the crew seemed to find me an object of great curiosity. I found them a great annoyance, as they would not be put off from asking incomprehensible questions as I went about my daily business. A young Malay shyly asked me what Paris was like. It's beautiful. It glitters, snake, theatres spill light, commerce in the streets, the cafes are full of men and women debating or drinking, and drinking endless cups of coffee. There are beautiful women and beggars all on the same street. I took a deep breath, dissatisfied with my hands. It is much like any other place, I said finally. It is glorious and terrible, and words are incapable of truly describing how someone loves some fucking. Ah, no! Today we stopped in Singapore on the southernmost tip of the Malay Peninsula. Singapore had been British for many decades, but harbour it seemed almost as if some little town in Kent or Surrey had been shipped piece by piece and reconstructed on this far shore. Oh, give me a second, guys. I'm just going to take a second to answer a message. I love been receiving cat pictures. We exchanged some labourers for a dozen or so merchants. Okay. And made sail by early afternoon. And to boot. What? Oh, we're still going. Sweet. Nice. Quite happy with how this is going. The captain was on deck in the afternoon as I took a turn. He seemed to hesitate for a moment before he approached and abruptly said, "My brother is an opium addict." I'm sorry. He laughed without any true good humour. The merriness entirely gone from his dark eyes. My family is from Shanghai. We were poor, but instead of relieving my parents' cares, my older brother became an opium dealer who lied and stole and wasted his days. Okay. How old were you, buddy? He was 10 when he began. He left Shanghai at 15. He ended up in Singapore with nothing to his name to shirt. Where he's now. His parents live well on the money he sends them. His brother. Lots of sadness in a heart, and I do not know. Dead probably, if not being on the streets. He took a shaky breath. I have not talked of this for many years, but I wanted to tell you this one. Sure, things are not so simple as you seem to think. Captain Ong bowed stiffly, and my thoughts flickered between the captain's story and the chests of opium, even now in the cargo hold. Yeah, that'd suck. A squall today and we're confined to our cabins. We could hear the sailors shout to each other outside as the ship pitched from side to side. Monsieur Fogg, in an uncharacteristic display of humanity, was noisily seeking to a nearby bucket. I mopped his brow, act which he clearly deemed overfamiliar even in his compromised position. Oh. We're gonna try and fix you a little bit, dude, because you're fucked. The Indian labourers was lying limp in the corridor outside our cabin. Hello? Most doubtfully he moaned. He looked feverish, clammy, and rather warm to the touch. He called one of the crew. He watched he was shuttered away to his cabin. Always an Indian of indeterminate, weather-beaten years. Tapped me on the shoulder as thanks, and his disjointed tongue promised to care for him, at least so I assumed. Your labourer was walking in slow circles around the deck. He looked over as I walked past. I greeted him with a wave. He gave me a glare. I was to take a job at an Apcar warehouse in Hong Kong, but now they think I will not be able to work well. I have no job because of it. Turned away. I fled the deck rather. Just unceremoniously right. Reached our destination in the promised 10 days, quite a miracle, and one that Captain Ong was clearly proud of. He shook our hands with great gusto as we disembarked, his eyes dancing. Good luck, he called as I looked around the crowded, colourful harbour. Alright. Going pretty smooth. Oh, what's that one? Chinese silk and a man accosted me. This man had a moustache so fine, so luxuriant, so well tended that I briefly lost the power of speech. I watched mesmerised as it quivered with his every word of introduction. It seemed his name was Fix. He offered me a drink, and given that I had a few hours to spare, I could not in good conscience refuse. Oh, jeez, he led me to a dingy basement where a sour-faced Chinese woman presided over several tables and a few couches with men and women, mostly Europeans, in various states of boiling intoxication. This is an opium den, I exclaimed uneasily. The gin is good, he told me, and ordered us a bottle to prove his claim. It was thin and sharp, but not wholly distasteful. We chatted amiably for a time, though I noted he kept my glass full and not his own listening. He said abruptly, I am a police detective sent from the London office. You, a detective. Not hide my incredulity, but he presented me with his commission, which seemed in all respects genuine and correct. He had been duped, he resumed. Mr. Fogg's wages, pretext. Last September, a robbery of £55,000 was committed at the Bank of England by a person whose description answers exactly to that of Mr. Phileas Fogg. Yeah, what nonsense. My master is the most honourable man. You know scarcely anything of your master. Fixed ground on, you went into his service the day he departed on his so-called wager, carrying little but a large quantity of banknotes. You're an honest man, I said mechanically, though in face of Fix's absolute certainty, I found myself assailed with prickles of doubt. The detective hissed a breath which fluttered the tips of his oiled moustache. I could arrest you as accomplice. I have done nothing wrong, I protest. Then you must help me, he replied. Fix pressed a pipe in my hand and unthinkingly lifted it to my mouth. As my head began to swirl and spin right. He shivered, so I recognised these bleary thoughts what they were. Opium-induced meanderings. This is an opium pipe. I accused, standing so abruptly that my chair tipped over. How dare you, sir? Fix chuckled Ollie. I dare because I must at all costs separate you from your master, as you call him. You will fail. Having delivered my dramatic promise, I stalked out the open end without a backward glance. The fresh air cleared my senses a little, and I returned with shaky steps to Monsieur Fogg. Despite the gin sloshing its way through my body, I felt as sober as a judge and twice as okay. Alright, so we're going to bank. Bank that we entered. As big as any London branch, so I know that says we can make a draw. Okay, so we want $1,000 tomorrow. Okay. Oh. I want that just for the sake of having that. And I'm going to take that because that seems like a good option. Hotel for the night. Let's see from a comfort of a mechanical sedan chair with my terrible experience dim the colours and tarnish the beauty of the streets. I found myself anxious to leave. Okay, funds at 11 AM. Tapping the clocks. There we go. so we got more funds. Now we depart. Yep, to Beijing. Let's do it. Let's do it, home slice, and let's take a good route. During the Hong Kong via tunnel, we rode through an endless dark, and I began to fear I might lose track of our luggage. It was as though we were ploughing down into the earth itself. To distract myself, I passed the time attending to my master's state because he was pretty fucked. Bring him tea, he perked up rapidly. Okay. I need to get his health sorted. We rode in darkness for an hour or so, then we burst up into the daylight in the countryside. We were crossing mainland China. The train rolled on all night and all day. We were visited only once by a guard who briefly glanced at our tickets, then inquired with unseemly interest as to our true purpose. Well, I talked to him. He was a curious soul, but a genuine one, I think. What can I tell you that you might want to know, he remarked. Perhaps the quickest way to Manila is to go via Hong Kong. With that, he slugged away. Hours passed. In dusty silence before we reached Beijing. Okay. Oh shit, see I went up because I'm an idiot. But if I get to Yokohama... Okay. Fuck off with your blood also. Beijing. Ooh, can I? No. Jeez. No ships headed across the Beijing side, nor any evidence of electrification. Though the Chinese did not shun all technology. Palanquins were drawn by intricately worked and gilded iron lines, as often as human servants, but I saw animated metal and jade dragons. Perched on the gables of imperial buildings. Breathing curls of steam vapor and flapping their enamel feathered wings. Furthermore, I was lucky enough to catch a little of the people as well. Walk across the city, we passed a pair of opium addicts and was something faces blankly blissful despite the emancipation of their limbs. Saw the poison and rot at the heart of Beijing and wondered how long even such a grand structure could endure it. Alright. Plan this shit. The only... That is genuinely the only way we can go. And we negotiate. No. Okay, so we will hotel for a day. As night fell, I have fallen us. I helped the kitchen start to clean. There's some funds. Before going to bed. Yep, let's just keep him. Okay, so depart. Order the Jixing. Jixing? Is that? No. Chinese junk with billowing pattern sails and a red and gold phoenix painted upon its proud brown bound for Vladivostok. Do you take passengers off? Small gesture with his right hand as if waving away a stray thought. In peacetime we do. Well, that makes sense. It was not a surprising response. It's been 10 years since the last Opium War, but European powers and Russia still scratched at China's borders. Okay. Spend the first day aboard. Eavesdropping. Trying to find options for our next journey. Picked up from a nervous Javanese ragamuffin. The traders who sailed from Honolulu to Panama City were always open to healthy bribery. It's not drawing incredible stars from the sky. It was most peaceful, beautiful. Captain Joe reading a Chinese newspaper at breakfast and asked if he would tell me the news. Is out of date. It is printed in Shanghai and he only picks it up when he happens to dock here. It's the most interesting story. Alright. The paper is campaigning against the employment of young women in opium bars in the French concessions, as they are often asked to perform immoral services. French traders must be up in arms. Has turned into quite an uproar. Okay. Spent a stimulating afternoon discussion with Captain Zhao as the wind filled our fully battened sails and spread us on our way to Vladivostok. That seems like such a roundabout way to get there. And up to busy junks filling the harbour to find a space to dock. Vladivostok was quite intimidatingly martial. Especially after the elegance and beauty of Beijing, so there was nothing for it. I hurried after my master into the city. Right. So, the calm black water of the Sea of Japan. It was populated largely by sailors in the Far East fleet and a mix of Chinese, Korean, and Russian residents. Alright, let's check out Sailor Town. Hastily constructed set of low buildings sprawling out from the harbour, sailors drank lemon tea or vodka in every doorway, and talked only one thing: the possibility of war with Japan. Oh, I sidled over to a female communications officer. Slated, it is the railway. Japan fears how close Moscow has come. Is Japan right to be afraid of us? She blanched. Well, look what Moscow has done to Siberia. Turned away from me. Britain and France have their empires in Indochina, and the Tsar is looking eastwards as well. After all, on a clear day, you can almost see the shores of Japan from here. Sobering thought. The hour was getting late by the time I made it back to my hotel, but my adventure here was far from over. Oh, an imposing imperial officer accosted me in reception and subjected me to a thorough search. I gave no objection, and he studiously went through our cases and my pockets, although of course he found nothing seditious. Vladivostok is a closed port. He declared you will be held while a decision is taken in your case. Pleaded with him, but I may as well have begged the thunder not to roll, and so it was that we came to spend 4 nights in a Russian military jail. Not an experience I would recommend, even for the hardiest of travellers. When we were finally released, it was without much discussion. We were pointed at the docks and told to leave, and oh, jeez. Avoided the Russian military ships and instead took passage on a Korean vessel crewed by a mix of Koreans, Mongolians, and Siberians. Regarded Monsieur Fogg with grave curiosity. I tried to dismiss their attentions, but it did little good. They continued to goggle at my master in mild disbelief until he retreated below deck with the slightest of furrows etching his brow. For the first day aboard, we kept ourselves mostly to ourselves. The crew seemed busy with their tasks, and I was happy to have a few of those myself. Monsieur Fogg was usually impervious self wherever and made his calculations and read his newspaper. Meanwhile, the boat steamed onwards. The cabin goes Elena spoke in English and was attached to us as a translator, though she created as much conversation as she explicated. Do you know my parents? I'm going to say I doubt it. Well, I just met you. My father was a Russian officer, maybe, I think. Mama comes from the famous Cossack family. They're old soldiers. And my aunt is a soldier, I think. She dressed as a boy and joined the Cossack host. Elena wrinkled her nose. My auntie and grandma were soldiers too. Mama says, but I have to earn enough money for my own horse and armour before I can join. I blink down a little cab and go rather at a loss as to how I should respond. That's nice. Mum runs a boiler room, all the sailors were frightened of it. She told me rather wistfully, one day I'll be like her. Helena made a mock fierce face and I pretended to quake in terror until we both began laughing uproariously. More seriously, a friend in the boiler room was useful. I wondered idly but aloud if it would be possible to speed up our arrival into Yokohama. Helena nodded vigorously. I'll ask my mother, but she hurried away. That's not good. Knocked on my door unreasonably early in the morning, eyes bright. The price of arriving today, she informed in clear tones and suggested she was repeating a memorised script, is £800 and, she added, if you can't afford that, then you can boil your heads. Boiling our heads it is. Alright. Something to do with boiling heads. Then last night, the ship tried to get a bit of Yokohama. She gave me a hug goodbye, which surprised me. Her mother watched me with hard eyes throughout the exchange. Weighed our anchor as the sun set. It lit the foreign flags in the harbour with bright fire as it dipped below the horizon. Okay. There seemed to be no departures today. Jeez. 1,500 in 2 days. Okay. It's hard to believe that Yokohama had only relatively recently opened to foreigners. That means it was an entire foreigners district not far from the waterfront where it was common to hear Chinese or Russian as Japanese. There was a melding of cultures. Clothing styles, Russians arrayed in their rich colours, hoop-skirted British ladies, lately of Bengal, Singapore. Americans wandered up in the coat like Harry over their shirts and trousers. I noticed a Japanese man watching the scene with intense concentration and scribbling in a sketchbook. I leaned in for a look, probably being rude. He was drawing a stylized picture of the foreign quarters with quick pen strokes, which stopped abruptly as my shadow fell over the drawing. He looked up with irritated. Do you mind? He said. His accent an unholy mix of Dutch, French, and English. I'm making a drawing for a woodcut. What is that American Pedro going on down that? Covered his drawing jealousy. It is an artistic impression of the foreigners he stressed. Well, it certainly is artistic, I allowed. The scene on the page is much more lively than the merchants haggling and their wives and children riding about carriages. They were very strange people, pronounced after a brief silence. Only strange, I replied thoughtfully. Thinking of my travels, he shrugged, clearly unconvinced. He coloured one of the women's skirts, lovingly, his hand on the page much gentler and kinder than his voice had been. Finally, he thrust the paper in my direction, assuring me that it was only a preliminary sketch. I accepted gracefully. Charmed that he had chosen to bestow a gift upon a new stranger, I stored it carefully. It was a fine souvenir of Yokohama. You know what? Let's not worry about it. We're going to hotel for the day. We made ourselves comfortable for the night, and I tended to Monsieur Fogg because he's pretty wrecked. Relations with Fogg strengthened. If we depart. Okay, so if I head to Manila, I'm gonna shoot across. Oh no, wait. What remained of the day? Run a few minutes to the hotel. Yeah. £73. Bank funds at 9 AM. Okay. Sugawara was an Imperial Japanese steamship designed by French engineers and crew by naval conscripts drawn from all 4 occupations. Captain Hirasu bowed slightly with greeting, and I gave her a deeper bow of respect, which caused her to raise an approving eyebrow. Okay. Welcome aboard, she told us as the crew raced about readying the ship for departure. With God's grace, we'll have a swift journey. It was fog. Encounter Captain Hirasu on deck in the morning and noticed that she wore a katana in a beautifully worked sheath. So that is a beautiful weapon, I said reverently, having been swept away by the recent prison fashion which punished Japonisme. Okay. She ducked her head a little. It's not military issue gunto. She admitted it has personal value to me. I sense she did not want to speak further and did not press her. Oh, there will be time enough to get to know the captain better on our journey to heaven. I saw Captain Hirasu praying at Luke Protestant chapel. What do you pray for? Health and long life for Emperor Meiji, she said, so fervently that the complex words rang with truth. He looks to the west and thus towards progress. Consider the words. The product is progress. Hang on. 5 years ago, it was illegal for a peasant or a woman to wear a sword. Now Emperor Meiji's given me a warship. Yeah, he still wears samurai katana. Sadness, it was her grandfather's. Okay, the men of her family are all samurai. And they must be very proud of her. No? Oh. Oh, he's still loyal to the guy. That sucks. The Emperor has reduced the samurai's privileges, cut their wages. Father's angry. Really change his mind. Hope so. He cannot stand against so much progress. In the motto of Imperial Japan, an officer came to fetch Captain Hirasu away for some pressing duty, and I was left with my whirling thoughts. Manila Harbour was a desolate looking place. The Sugawara was a regal sight. Reconcile with your family, Captain. And you should not. Do not drink the water. Okay. Because I'm gonna use that. Really hoping that once we get to America it's not as painful as a lot of... Oh, we're down there. Alright, so explore. Just to see if there's anything super cool, but I'm doubting it. Almost inopportune time. The city had recently suffered the depredations of a major typhoon. The efforts at rebuilding have been stalled by an outbreak of the dreaded cholera morbius. Originated with sailors of the steamer from a nearby town of Zambo. Local room in case affected establishments were burned daily by the sanitary board, with our hotel one of the categories relocated to the telephone exchange, taking the mechanical horse-pulled tram. Concerned with the possibility of infection, I assured that Monsieur Fogg I can only boil water. Recommend I read John Snow's article in the Medical Times Gazette, going to the lengths of preventing him from eating any uncooked foods for fear of contamination. From our window I could see carts piled high with the dead being taken to the mountain to be burned, rather than interred in the churchyard, which put me in a morbid frame of mind. I went to the local telegraph office and sent a message short. Dear Mama, love, earnest declarations of filial adoration. I will not tell you if it's particulars, but I'm not ashamed to admit their sentimentality. I went way back to Monsieur Fogg and the fragrant coconut oil lamps. Feet apart from the city driven by sickness and death. Negotiate. Yeah, fuck it. Get the fuck out of here before we end up with cholera. Run a few errands. 109 minutes. Okay. Rough skies, this is going to suck balls. The Spanish tourist community type airship. It's gondola shaped. It's gondola shaped to resemble one of the infamous Spanish galleons of previous centuries and is richly outfitted. The Philippine hardwood, Fijian silk curtains and lacquered ornamental automata imported from China, my cabin resembled a fashionable salon more than an airship berth. Hey, sounds pretty good, to be honest. Journey to Honolulu will take 4 days. The airship would refuel and go on without us. From there, we had other plans. We had other plans. We had other plans. Filipino crew spoke a mix of Tagalog and Spanish, all mixed in with Lascar sailors' cant, which fascinated me. I did not have the skill to understand it, and bother trying to learn it. Captain Mark knew in Spanish you need a sailor's heart to do so. Do you know it? Asked Lo. Captain of the ship you're travelling in finally replied with a glitter in his dark, thick-lashed eyes. You should hope I have a sailor's heart. I think you do. I could not help giving him a smile, which he returned rather rakishly. Truly, he said, I meet the most remarkable people as captain of an airship. I keep combing this bitch's hair, try and fucking keep him from falling over. Portrait of King Amadeo the First hung in one of the relatively unused corridors of the gondola, from which I surmised that the captain was only indifferently devoted to his monarch, or which I was exploring in the hope of finding a secret. Yeah, let's find some secrets. Indeed, I stumbled across a small room set with a crucifix and an altar. Clearly someone aboard was literally a closet Christian. Over the dinner, the captain told me about Honolulu, where we would stop on the morrow. If I believed his telling, it was all ripe flesh guavas and shark steaks. Alright. Looked over coals on soft, sanded beaches lapped by pure blue water. As we settled down for the night, I was struck by an unrelated thought. Monsieur Fogg, the dateline. They've altered our watch already, Monsieur Fogg replied calmly. Did you think I might forget? The master was, of course, with an eye such as his, it was unthinkable that he might miss such a detail. We had reached the point directly opposite Greenwich. Oh. The hours we had lost in travelling around the Earth were added back a whole extra day. Okay. Arrived in Honolulu Bay in good time. The crew landed us, then deflated the envelope to refill it. It was a while before we could retrieve our things. Watch them work. Their efficiency was most gratifying. Men and women swarmed over the balloon as it fell on itself, jumping clear at the last moment, swinging away on guy ropes that themselves were falling slack. Then we were finally discharged from our duty as passengers, and the airship lifted away into the sky. Ooh. Upwards would be good because I've got train routes. As though Honolulu only been one indoor breath of wheeling swath of sky, white lace waves, and pristine sand bounded by black volcanic bluffs. The town was entirely hidden behind groves of coconut and eucalyptus. We took a short tour. You look, said our coach driver, like city folk. And what do they look like? You know, that old bent with crabbed over eyes fixed on the horizon, always in a rush. And there was something to his horse which looked well fed and high spirited. As a young man, I went to San Francisco to make my fortune. I too ran and scrabbled in pursuit of the almighty dollar. We are not pursuing wealth, I corrected, though indeed Monsieur Fogg's fortune hung in the balance of his wager. Was our entire adventure merely a glorified pursuit of coin? Our adventure thus far has been somewhat harum-scarum. Barely had we placed our toes on dry land. I'd seen so many wonders, and yet each ultimately reduced to another mark in my master's ledger. Do you not wish the freedom to exhale past your tail? Coach driver asked to stop running and simply feel the wind on your face, and the sun warming you, and the sound of the ocean like a heartbeat. Take my moments where I may. There is peace here. I had seen sky said to myself. The coach driver sighed and turned his face up to me in the sky. A man may find himself here, he told me, only if he wishes. He invited us to his home there and fed us dough-like poi and bright-fleshed slices of orange and guava. I thought for once about peace and purpose. Instead of the distance yet to travel, my own purpose remained undimmed. But Honolulu was a pause, a moment pulled free of past and future and containing only the taste of guava and salt-freshened wind. We finished our day in Honolulu with a souvenir, swirling conch shell collected from the beach as we walked back to the docks. Okay. So I think... Sweet Jesus. I needs to make some money. So heading in for the night, I wash the element, I help the kitchen staff to clean. £6 cool. I think alright, so this is about to suck. There's some shoes. Alright, so it's in 2 days. What fell? Engaged in other guests in conversation. When I could, from the Queensway Salt Lake City through San Francisco. The most interesting city. Day 60 months off the moment that night in his sleep, and still some distance yet to travel. £78 in fees and so, he runs there. Go. And this dude's supposed to be rich as shit, so got a steam barge from Honolulu to San Francisco. The scent of ripe bananas pervaded every plank of decking and bulkhead, a sweet and deliciously rotting odour, which I rather became accustomed to. Always much to the detriment of my keen sense as well. I'll talk to you. Oh my god. Ja, unpassbar. Dogma armament. Oh, and Dad was in an accident with trains. There we go. I would have added a few routes. I'm gonna try and stick to North America just so I don't have as much travel upwards when I get there. After dinner, convinced my mouth that I ate fried cucumbers and potatoes at breakfast. Everything smells bananas. Chef Fogg replied that he could not smell a thing, which I took to be his queerly English sense of humour at work. Still, if bananas were to be the worst of my troubles aboard this boat, then that would be no bad thing. Workman like convinced that someone was in the cabin with me. Stayed very still and listened. There was a long wave-lap silence until I heard distinctly a drag shuffle. I lunged in the direction. Soft, person-shaped and familiar. Monsieur Fogg! I cried. My midnight visitor blinked and straightened and looked about my cabin in genteel surprise. What? He said, currently putting his dressing gown. Closed. Am I doing in your cabin, Passepartout? You would know better than I, monsieur. Exclaimed Paisley, rather upturned by his sudden appearance. He took a sharp breath. It seems I've been sleepwalking, he said, his voice almost tremulous. I've not done so since I was a child. Please accept my apologies. I'll ask him if he wants to stay for a while. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. It's embarrassed the shit out of him, realistically. It was a heavily pregnant woman who found Monsieur Fogg's English accent a source of great mirth. Say something else, she demanded over breakfast. Please, I'm going to distract her with some idle talk. So there we go. A bit better again. Ran off my door, opened it to find Monsieur Fogg, wringing his hands past Patel, his breath followed him with grim alacrity, certain that something truly unspeakable was afoot and that I was not wrong. I opened the door to his cabin room. Captain Kalani, red-faced and moaning upon his bed. She turned a baleful gaze in that direction. I'm having my baby early, she hissed, sweat upon her upper lip. You must help me. What should I do? I intended to ask a question, but it came out more like a shout. When you hold my bloody hand, and the other fetch some blasted water, she retorted. I glanced at Monsieur Fogg and said, I'll fetch the water, and left me to hold Captain Kalani's hand. Here's the baby's father lying bored, and I grimaced as she squeezed my fingers so hard I feared I'd be left. He's home, she gasped, tending the farm. Can we get on? Monsieur Fogg returned with a bucket of water, but our spot was short-lived. Captain Kalani parted her knees. One of you, she said alone, must catch the baby. I steeled myself for the role. Relinquished her hand to Monsieur Fogg. I tried to compose my expression into something cool and medical and attached, but I fear I met with mixed success at best. After an infinitely terrifying interval, which I have not the means to describe, I held a small, squalling, red-faced baby in my arms. I commandeered Monsieur Fogg, took off my own jacket, wiped the birth fluids from the baby's face, calling it a worthwhile loss. Then I gave it to her. It's a girl, I said into the sudden hush. Captain Kalani was sweaty and wild-eyed and utterly exhausted. She held the baby to her chest as though it were an infinitely precious thing. She began to sing to her little girl, a song of whales and ocean waves and airships that hung like moons in the sky. Wow. Alright, there you go. Banana boat birth. Captain Kalani's indisposition the previous day did not delay us in the least. She had well-trained and loyal crew seemed to have collectively adopted her little girl as one of their own. I'll call her Jean. Captain Kalani told us as we tethered at San Francisco, you are excellent midwives. I was overcome. Ducked my head like a boy from the countryside. The name suits her, madame, I said. She will wear it better than I have. I turned towards San Francisco Bay with renewed hope after all. Whatever challenges it offered could scarcely be more taxing than those we had just overcome. Okay, so plan. Okay, so if I want to do that, I think tomorrow I'll probably. Okay, so explore. I've got the feeling our way straight across would be the better. Mountain roads reformed their woods and dumped resulting rubble on stone to Mission Bay. Our slopes towards the recently constructed Long Bridge, which is crowded with families out for a stroll, people fishing for silvery smelt with long poles. And the water was a jangle of rowing boats racing each other, boatmen taking passengers out to Mission Rock. Cheers and good-natured shouts emitted from a halfway house in the middle of the bridge. Halfway house. Supplies from the rebels I saw spilling out from stores. It was some manner of drinking den. A man, red-faced, somewhat the worse for drink, bumped into me. I excused myself politely. Made an apology in return, slinging an arm around my shoulders. Hello, you don't sound like you're from around here. You don't sound American either. No matter I was Dutch once in past life, but now I'm as American as President Grant. This is the land of newcomers. You will prospect. I am a traveller. I'm travelling around the world. Actually, I'm a jewel thief on the run. So that's a brown-skinned woman slipped her arm into his. Looked for an introduction. The man smiled quickly. Arm of Anders. He shook it. I'm Anders, and this is my wife, Jenny. Pleasure to meet. Kissed her hand. She was surprised but smiled. It was a pleasure to meet Anders' friends. She looked askance at the whiskey flask in his hand, but seemed to find me unobjectionable. I hesitated. The obvious question about her origins on the tip of my tongue. Are you? I let my rather uncouth question trail off in embarrassment. She laughed with full-throated pleasure. The Modoc tribe. What the new Americans all call Indians. Jenny rolled her eyes. I do not mind your surprise. Most of my tribe has been taken to the Klamath Reservation in Oregon. Ugh. What's the reservation? Jenny looked with utter astonishment. Tracts of land where the first peoples were relocated. When the whites decided they want the gold, the silver, the coal, the buffalo, and homelands. Anders whispered something into Jenny's ear and she laughed, though I feared I had opened an old wound with my prying questions. Nodded, found my way back to Monsieur Fogg, was sitting drinking tea with a disconsolate frown. Tastes like soap, he remarked, and say no. Alright, so... okay, headed towards Chinatown. The lead was a barren of crowded wooden and brick houses, temples, businesses, herbalists, laundries, and market stalls selling fruit and flowers. That was an interesting conversation. So I decided to approach an older man in European clothes, who offered me a cup of green tea when I introduced myself. Thank you. I breathed and heard Laurent and got the hot tea down quickly. This is most generous. He chuckled, smoothed his crisp shirt. Many of my friends, they say, Lynn, talk to foreigners, you wear their clothes, and I say to them, I'm American now, you are too. He pointed at a young man with his hair and cute. Look at him with his old-fashioned hair. There is a law against it. Anybody wears it like that. The fool. What a ridiculous law. But that is your tradition. Why is there a law against it? I asked. It hurts that way, surely. We must let go of our old culture, Lynn cancelled. We are American now. I'm going to ask why they made it. Looking with the pity of a wise man for a patent fool, because they want us to become like them. Of course, you shrugged, the sooner the better. Oh, there you go. Go. Okay. So this voyage doesn't hurt. It's going to take a lot of my money, but not all of it. Oh god, this sucks. Okay. We were lucky to arrive in San Francisco just in time to catch a journey along the as yet unfinished Transcontinental Express, which would take us as far as Burlington in 5 days, with only a handful of stops along the way. Monsieur Fogg, unfortunately, was not feeling lucky, having eaten some rather speculative oysters in the afternoon, went away from my watchful eye. I was most solicitous. I asked for cool cloths and weak sugared tea, till he pronounced that he felt much recovered. First day was enjoyable enough. American trains could clearly not compete with their European counterparts, but it was amusing to see them try. The posters proclaimed Pullman's Palace, sleeping cars, and while not palatial, in the slightest, they were at least serviceable. We sipped cold, cool beer as we rattled through long stretches of desert in the shadow of tall mountains. I tended to Monsieur Fogg and his delicate stomach, which is not entirely better today. Okay. Well, the passengers were a curious mix of gold and silver prospectors, homesteaders, farmers from all corners of the world, Mormons, missionary soldiers, and stiff-necked gentry of various sorts. I gave a young black woman with a deep red bonnet an infectious laugh. A wide smile. Her name was Deanna. I'm meeting my husband in Cheyenne. She told me he did construction work in New York, but New York isn't safe anymore. We have enough money to move now. Oh, why isn't it safe? I queried innocently, having one of the broad strokes of American industry. You did not hear of the draft rights in Europe, she asked, wondering. New York has always had the Confederate sympathies, and when the Union began drafting New Yorkers, they rioted. They killed and burned black homes. Huh. Right. My husband has never felt safe since, but now we're moving to Cheyenne. She smiled, nearly glowing with happiness. Awesome tales of my adventures. Seemed to amuse her greatly. As the afternoon wore in the evening, we passed Ogden closed to Salt Lake City. We watched as the passengers disembarked, glimpsing fertile fields and well-tended ranches out of the windows of the train. Right. A fellow with a painfully trimmed moustache and impeccable suit approached me outside the lavatory and nodded at him companionably, and his thin lips parted in a contained grin. I am Felix Granger, he said. You are a puzzle. Flattered. I'm all Passapartout. I am no more of a puzzle than the sun's rise in the east. Truly, I'm the simplest of men. Oh no, do tell me how you came to be on the transcontinental. There my hangs a tale, I can tell, good sir. He was merely interested in me and my adventures. I saw no reason not to enlighten him in great and florid detail. His eyebrows raised higher and higher during my recitation. Then he said, and surely this is your first time ever. Oh yes. We're in a very strange place, you will allow, I'm sure. He seemed surprised. Oh, strange, he stroked his trim moustache. Maybe we are at that, by God. Good for him. Good for him. We stopped at Cheyenne, Wyoming for a few hours in the evening. The trim-moustached fellow disembarked to talk with a 6-foot-tall woman who wore the latest slim train skirts and a pistol tucked into her waistband. We watched. None the wiser at lunch, I asked. One of the women homesteaders who informed me that she was Esther Hobart Morris. Adjusted the piece indeed. First one in America, she sniffed. Honestly, tell me what's wrong with being a wife and a mother, I ask you. The trim moustache fellow boarded the train again before the last whistle blew. His face drawn and anxious. Oh, great. We were held up by outlaws. I knew it was coming. They dragged tree trunks over the line and forced the train to halt before boarding, brandishing pistols and sabres. I went carriage to carriage, demanding bailiff as I looked at my master, who had a certain glint in his eye, and I did not doubt that he wished a peaceful and quick conclusion to this grave inconvenience. The lead bandit fight is going to the air. The name, he declared, is Jesse James. Now you give me anything you got. Sable lifted my hand over my wallet. What else could I do? Sure, James smiled a toothy smile and tossed the £10 back in his hand. Great. Sable point moved on now was Monsieur Fox. What about you? What do you go? I dreaded what his response would be. His gallantry would never acquiesce to such a man. Monsieur Fogg cleared his throat. I would trouble you to lower your sword, he said. I listened fearful. You'd trouble me, would you? Somehow I doubt you would. Monsieur Fogg stiffened a little. His eyes narrowed. I could see he was about to do something terribly rash. I watched carefully. Monsieur Fogg was standing stiff as a post and sword point directly at him. I have boxed for my country, he declared. Okay, so just a moment, a group of soldiers headed by the trim moustache fellow stormed aboard our carriage, pistols drawn. Jesse James lifted his sword and held up his hands. I jeered at him as he was led away, and civilized behaviour in Monsieur Fogg did not approve. It was graceful if intentional the same. Then the steam engine restarted and we were soon on our way, not much worse for wear, though our was impounded as evidence. We did not have time to wait for the case to come to trial. The officers compensated us a little, to the tune of £348. The kind fellow passenger gave me a spare pair of shoes, and a few hours later we reached Burlington. We disembarked, gratefully arrived in one piece. Take a short while. Okay, so this is about to suck. Okay, situation on the River and grown from some steamboats spelled off and down long stretch of river. The construction of the Burlington Railway route had caused a temporary influx of Chinese and Irish labourers into the town, where many of them drank and generally had a good time. Good times were scarce, commodity in Burlington, so it seemed to me the town distinguishes itself in the memory as the place where I managed to buy and then immediately burn a shirt for Monsieur Fogg. Okay, he was not terribly understanding. Showed him the faulty iron, and he acknowledged that I had not caused the accident through a lack of skill, a great concession in foggish terms. I do not want to go down that way. No, this is... crap, I could go like right there. Right there. Or just right there. It's day 71. It's in the market. No, I don't. Like, none of this. I just gotta wait. Myself comfortable for the night, and I spent a few hours walking around. Took advantage of the time away from my duties. When I returned, I felt much fun. Pedal. Okay. So I've got to wait a day for this. Ugh. Okay. Let's... Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Okay, bank. Give me your funds. That's all we got. That's just what we've got. The only one I can find. Twin deck 6 boiler stern. Look out for the noise. Serious fan for the luxury of a steamboat, but also for their unfortunate tendency towards catastrophic boiler explosions. I felt lucky. I'm quite certain nothing ill would befall San Antonio Crescent City. We were certainly due a good turn, were we? I think that's what we'll do here. That chasing crooks that fled the unregulated waters of the Mississippi. The longer the money is soon parted, so the saying went. Ah. Well, Fogg, you need to stop being such a fucking Nancy bitch. I thought it was quite cozy with the gambles and something other at yourself. A wager I can get us to New Orleans in 3 days rather than 4. We showed the route large. We'll take the wager. We could use an extra day. Said nothing, hoping the matter would politely drop, but I was unfortunate to fill up my news from Redbeard and sharply pointed lapels. Staked £100 against the captain, who whipped with delight, watch and learn, my friends. Oh man, if this shits itself. And so we're ordered the Calliope to play a tune, we mustered the crew and gave the order to push the instance maximally, and the coal shovelers scour the extra work involved, but the captain ignored them magnanimously. Seemed competent enough, but as the boilers whistled and screamed, the ship began to make ominous keening noises. I sensed disaster, and tried to convince the captain of Renique. To little avail, I had a terrible feeling that the entire enterprise kept shoveling. Captain Latour shouted, tapping dials and muttering orders. He squeezed more oil into the engine crank. We'll be in New Orleans before sundown, which was when something began to make a screaming noise. Turned about looking astern, seeing smoke issue from a crack in the metal, and then it was too late. The rear boiler exploded. The entire ship seemed to shudder, and convulsed the sailors screamed. And wept and burned. It was hell in little rather than metaphysical sense, and I was in it. We did not reach New Orleans that day, and I wondered if we ever would. The sailors died yesterday, though some no doubt wish they had. A much chastened captain Latour moored the ship and organised boats to take the docks ashore. Not sure Fogg and I are unharmed, at least physically, but there is no music or laughter on the dark Queen's deck, and even the hardened, and I don't think there will be many for the bed, but day 76, we barely 100 hours remain to return home. We are getting home in that. Captain Latour ordered only 2 of the 5 remaining boilers fired and head off double pay to the stokers, 2 injuries. How could this happen? Asked Mature Fogg, note in my voice. Must regard me thought the Captain Latour could gamble, and this time he lost, that is all. You are a gambling man, I said, thinking of the screams of the sailors. I realised as much as the very first day he took me into service. What's the difference? There is none, Monsieur Fogg said, calmly after a moment's consideration. I merely have a better calculation of the odds. Right. Good for him. We docked at New Orleans and the sun was low in the sky, glinting over the brackish water of the river and bathing the French and Spanish colonial villa of the city in a soft yellow light. Latour came to see us off, bent back on his craft. His wages told me cautious and shakily, beware of New Orleans. Is a city a man can abandon himself. Okay. Plan. That one. Fuck, just go. The Panama airline from New Orleans was not in fact an airline at all, but according to his advertising, the fastest railway in America. What could be better for getting us to the edge of the Atlantic? Winning our bet would now require a miracle, but we slayed every chance of a decent showing. Oh, fine. Spoop. South was encouraged with another occupant, an extremely large man who introduced himself as Charlie Sullivan, a lad from Birmingham, who was most impressively sculpted, especially around the neck and upper arms. His moustaches were nonetheless perfect. Asked him what had taken New Orleans, he grunted boxing. Ah. Fought in a competition. At an exhibition, he won 3rd round knockout. Monsieur Fogg's interest had been increased sharply throughout the conversation. Your training demanded keenly, or self-taught. I'm going to manage a Sullivan replied. He tells me what to hit. Excellent. As a Monsieur Fogg enthused, I want to hear all about it. I sat back, enjoyed the conversation. Details of boxing are more intricate than one might expect, and hearing the business of cut and thrust, delivered in Sullivan's sober English tones, was quite informative. Little did I know how the details I heard would come to be of use to me. Oh no. That can't end well. That Mr. Sullivan will, I think, a very friend indeed, Monsieur Fogg pined as I brought him his kippers from the dining cellar. I'm going to say he seemed to have the physique. Not just the physique, Norks replied. Physique is not the secret. His description of the transfer of the weight from foot to foot was very well understood indeed. Going to say, so you're a boxer. So the shadows of conversation began to come down. I went to school, yes. France is a very curious country at times. He attacked his kippers with some gusto. You should fight him, he said. I almost choked. He looked at me with surprise. Is something the matter? Forgive me, in San Jose he said I should fight Monsieur Sullivan. Indeed, he thought, no, you needn't be alarmed. I can teach you to box. I rolled back my sleeves. She came on short, and I am a quick learner. At least I thought somewhat confident in nature. Excellent, Monsieur Fogg. Put down his paper. Arranged for a space in the guard's banker. When had he done this? I do not know. I merely followed, and there was Sullivan stripped to the waist to his wife expo. Piss poor too, he greeted me through a thick leather mouthguard. Sullivan, I declared, meekly, as I removed my own shirt and tried to listen to my master, provided some pointers, and then the fight began. Sullivan was a tough opponent, and if he chose to swing hard, he would brain me unless I defended myself. He would not be able to slug on every swing. I would have to pick my moments to attack. Kept my guard up. Matching Fogg's demonstration from across the card. Just a Sullivan punch that the blow landed against my defence. I shook it off as best I could. A small crowd had gathered to watch the fight. They murmured with excitement. Strength and stamina are different. Monsieur called to me from the side. Your strength will come back if you swing lightly, but your stamina, once gone, will leave you out cold. I nodded to show that I had heard. Sullivan's eyes narrowed. I jabbed. Quick, decisive move. While Sullivan made a quick jab, I overpowered him, landing a sting. We were both still lively, though he was faring a little better than me. Watch it. The next swing may be harder. Okay, so I'm going to bring my defences up. We circled each other nervously. Neither of us was badly worn, though he was looking better than me. He will have regained some muster from that block. Sullivan's weight moved back. He's making... Just swing, my master shouted. I jabbed. But I had time to pull his swimming punch hard. Blow slipping past my guard. I was fading fast. I could not take much more. I heard rather than saw the money changing hands. Spectators were betting on me. I saw Sullivan's shoulders moving black. He's making to block Fog moments, so don't swing too hard. Through a light punch. I was stumbling and staggering. I saw him shift up onto his tiptoes. Raised my guard. Sullivan rolled his fists about one another. Heavy punch, why not? Burst through his attack, landing single, both but equally matched. Tiring, but still eyeing each other warily. The crowd murmured and whispered. Okay. Raised my guard. It was tiring, certainly, but I was all but on my knees. He's wearing himself out. I saw his arms tense. Still my turn. I jabbed. We were both staggering and stumbling about the ring, but he had the upper hand by a hair's breadth. He took a slight step back, so I threw another light. Something around. General sounds like I put my jacket on my head. Good show, Monsieur Fogg, said General. I'm afraid we have lost some money. As we lay down to sleep, Monsieur Fogg murmured, today is day 80, passport we had failed. Indeed. It's changed nothing over. We must still return home and as fast as possible. Okay. I woke, still smarting from my box of extra. Sullivan, my master, most generally decided he would fetch breakfast. You are most kind, monsieur. Indeed, he replied. We cannot have you dropping the tray. He returned with black coffee and well-buttered toast. A most considering choice to bring a Frenchman. Or at least so I thought, until he began to eat the toast himself and drank the coffee in a slurp. We arrived in New York later that day. I struggled to lift the case with my tired arms as we staggered off the train. What a cunt. Okay, so explore. I don't care about Winnipeg. I'm not going back further into America. There we go. There's a... I was pickpocketing. I trusted my unstealable wallet. Worked charmingly, despite bringing the thief. Bring the thief a cropper just as they were running away. The yank of elastic suddenly severe enough to lay them flat. Snatched back my purse and marched up triumphantly until, once around the corner, I collapsed with a deep sigh of relief. A valet who loses his wallet is no valet at all. The shock passed. I made my way back to our hotel before anything more untoward could befall my delicate person. Okay. Really? It departs in 4 days. And that departs tomorrow. Well, that departs tomorrow. So for today, we will quickly check. Over there in Atlanta. What is that? Tiny sand with a misprint on the Queen in Paradise Nose. A rarity. You know what? Just go. Everyone can just go. There's like nothing else that we're going to need over here. So I'll rest till tomorrow. And I should only have 2 minor operations act clothing. And depart. Oh, okay. We're going to turn up with nothing but $1,885. The item was a hingelessly large Savicar Atmotic. Wanted to fly 4 or 5 miles high and had to be hauled down on the docks by a team of 30 or 40 steam winches. It seemed large for a ship travelling to Iceland, but I was informed by dockhand that most of the space was for cargo, not people. Indeed, space was at such a premium, passengers were allowed no luggage. I had espied the word quarantine on a visa document we had signed. Okay. I felt there was some important facts we're not being told, but still, we had bought our tickets, signed our visa forms, and discarded our luggage. It was soon time to depart. So we got nothing now. We were very possibly like clothes on this motherfucker's back. And that's about the extent of it. Conditions about the Icewind were comfortable enough for the 30 or so passengers making the trip. We quickly knew everyone by their Christian name, and Monsieur Fogg had found himself a capable whist partner to pass the hours, though with our wager done I could see he was not quite as focused on his game as he might normally have been. Evening crept in on us slowly as we headed north. Oh jeez. Past the latitude of London, Monsieur Fogg declared, and I wondered if he could detect sadness in his tone. Most likely due to a sense of inefficiency rather than anxiety. Alright, try to bribe some crew into befriend the crew. They're rather suspicious of me. You don't look like a working Taiwan. You look well to do. I'm a valet, I declared. See, I don't know what that is. Sure, good day. Then Monsieur Fogg, mission unaccomplished, and he shrugged. No matter. He said nothing more, and the reason for his silence was clear enough. The third day was short and arrived into the skies above Reykjavik as the sun was gathering across the water. From the rail I could see an endless expanse of plains, mountains and ice-capped waves punctuated by intermittent clouds of smoke rising from cracks in the ground. A primeval wilderness, if ever we had seen one as we landed. I looked back, hoping to catch sight of our mysterious cargo. As I watched, the whole nose of the craft was attached and something was dragged out by a team of steam cars with winches. Guards stood either side, well armoured and arms to the teeth, as though expecting an attack from an army. It was hustled onto a wide-gauge train which puffed away to deliver it elsewhere. Indeed, a puzzle. Okay. Oh, now we get to explore because we have no fucking clue where anything is. And that's how we get back to London. The feeling of okay, Reykjavik was a quiet town with few inhabitants, but said the feeling of a bustling centre of commerce. The flag of the Kingdom of Denmark fluttered above the trade hall. Yeah, I've got to check that. Declaring its place as an outpost, but of all the outposts, colonies, and adjuncts of great nations we had seen, it seemed the most comfortable in its skin. Its comfort most likely derived from the natural hot springs. We should try it out in an open area behind a fine fish restaurant. Monsieur Fogg sat at one end and myself at the other, breathing gulps of steam with a deep, satisfying sigh. It has been a long and wearisome adventure, I called. Indeed, my master replied, some 83 days, but we are not done yet. Yep. Alright, so hotel for the day. Oh, attend to Monsieur Fogg, sure. And depart. And off we go. Go. Oof, so I've been ended up being like 89 days. Silver was a smaller ship than the Icewind had been, and a gag to boot. We loaded up. Strap ourselves in for the launch. There we go. Hey. On the War Passport, so our funds are running low once more. Yeah, well, you're the guy that said you could get around the country and the world in 80 days. Okay? You're the guy that made a bet that you had no actual way of making sure happen. So, oh geez, the ocean tore along beneath us. I enjoyed talking to no one. There was nothing I needed to know, no one to charm, flatter, or beguile into giving us aid. There was only wind and time, and we could control neither. Monsieur Fogg looked out of the observation deck windows with perfect calm, but the wager was lost and he was no doubt ruined. I watched him closely for fear he might do something drastic. Spent the remaining time embarking on the writing of this account. I found already the details of our early adventures had grown vague and indistinct. Well, not now, because I'm straight on. Tethered at the airship dock in Hyde Park and felt for the first time in 86 days the feel of English soil under our shoes. At long last we had returned to London. One of the steam carriages idling on the banks of the Serpentine Hyde Park. The reformed public constructor. Master shook his head to Seville Row. He corrected down and turned his face to the window. I most assuredly lost my wager. Soot and fog thickened the yellow light of the gas lamps that drove through the streets of London. I think I only truly grasped the truth of the matter then. Hearing the words of my master's uninflected tones, we had lost the wager, and by only a handful of days. One fewer delay, one speedier journey, and we might well have returned to London in glorious triumph rather than ignominy. My master entered his domicile with his habitual tranquillity, though he instructed me to leave the window shut up so that his neighbours would not mark his return. I prepared his supper, and he ate heartily as if he were not utterly ruined. Passeporto, he began. Yes, Monsieur Fogg. In the silence that followed, I counted up. Hair's breadth escapes. All the obstacles which we had overcome and those which had delayed us. You have performed your duties with competence and skill, Passeporto, he said, as though remarking upon the weather. But more importantly, you have circumnavigated the globe as my companion. Despite the unfortunate protraction of our journey, he added, it was no small feat. And what will you do now, Monsieur? I was trying to emulate my master's coolness and aplomb. Of course, Passeporto, Monsieur Fogg interjected smoothly, is fully decided upon. We must attempt the journey around the world once more. Once more. Indeed, Monsieur Fogg said, implacably. An intent light glinted in his cold blue eyes, but this time, forewarned and better prepared, we will succeed. Yes, Monsieur. Added smiling. Monsieur Fogg consulted his ledger and tapped his pen. Perhaps this time, he said thoughtfully, a more sultry route. Our journey around the world is complete. There we go. Fogg blames exploding Mississippi paddle steamer, arrest in Vladivostok, and American train robbers for 86 days. That's fair. That's fair. If we didn't have that many issues, we would have been fine. Where it transports to $30,000 in debt. Nice. Character is zestful. Right. A zestful, passionate, remarkable valet who's comfortable with his buddy. Alright. Well, there we go. That is the end. Alright. Good night, everybody. Have fun. That was 2 hours and 44 minutes, so catch you all later.